Hello everyone, this is POW Ponder on Weather. In this update, we're going to be talking about Monster Hurricane Larry as we look to have possible multiple storm threats in the Gulf as a ridge will start to build throughout the week from west to east. So if you do like weather related content, please subscribe to my channel as I will upload daily updates to keep you ahead of the storm. So let's get right to it. Man, this is the overall satellite picture this morning of Hurricane Larry. This thing is a beast out here in the Atlantic. I mean, you see a lot of the cold cloud tops. This eye right now is literally 70 miles wide. It is on the cusp of a Category 4 hurricane, and it's actually still heading into warmer water. So this could actually still intensify even a little bit more as it gets dangerously close to Bermuda by midweek. So let's take a look at Larry a little bit further. Here's the latest update from the National Hurricane Center. It's got it as a 120 mile per hour major hurricane. It's moving northwest at 14 miles an hour. It's going to continue on that trek, going over some very warmer waters, especially into the overnight. It remains a major hurricane all the way until we get close to Bermuda, and then it starts to feel the effects of this trough that's going to be digging into our northeast. That's actually going to be helping Larry being steered further north and eventually moving away from the coastline. So let's take a look at the latest UK Met model. I mean, this thing was actually the most bullish of the models. It actually takes it down to a 916 Category 5 hurricane. I don't think it gets to that quite intensity, but it's already accumulated what they call ACE points, which is the accumulated cyclonic energy. This is already the biggest storm of the 2021 Atlantic hurricane season as far as longevity. It's a metric they use as far as intensity and longevity of storms, and Larry's going to be one of those storms that's just going to be around for an extended period of time. I mean, you look, I mean, it continues. This is 5 days from now. It's still possibly a major hurricane. So it gets dangerously close. There's Bermuda. So it's still, with this extremely large hurricane, you're still going to be getting huge impacts in Bermuda, even though it may travel on the east side. But fortunately for the East Coast, you're probably just going to get some like very high swells, dangerous rip currents along the coastal regions, but not any, like, say, direct impacts from Larry. You'll have some of those indirect impacts. But one of my concerns for the East Coast is actually a severe weather threat that we're possibly going to be coming up on Wednesday, so that I wanted to make you aware of as well. That's actually before Larry, rip current impacts. So let's take a look at Invest 91L. So this is the disturbance we've been tracking for several days now. And it's one of those Central American gyro type disturbances, which do take a while to kind of get their act together. But now that area of interest is actually going back out into the Gulf of Mexico. And that's when it's going to be out in the open waters again. And as this continues lifting off into the northeast, it's going to be slowly developing. We do have a cold front that's moving through the regions right now. That's going to intermingle with that this tropical system, and that's when I feel like as it gets closer to the coast, we could spin up a tropical storm out of the system. And if it does come to fruition, it would be Tropical Storm Mindy. So let's take a look at the setup currently right now for the United States. There's the temperatures currently right now. We do have some cooler air behind this cold front. It's not exactly cold. We talked about this cold front last week for this week, and it's making a beeline. It's approaching. It went through Oklahoma City yesterday, but now it's entering, going to be approaching the Dallas-Fort Worth area. There's actually not much cold air with it, because you can actually, that's indicative between the red here and the blue. That's a sign that it's already starting to slow down, and it's kind of losing its oomph, if you will, of colder air as it pushes further south. But the main thing that's going to be a setup from this cold front, it's actually going to have a steering mechanism that's going to take place with what's to come with Invest 94. So it's already trying to kind of feel the effects from this system. As you can see, most of the activity will push it towards Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, into the Florida Panhandle, with what's the remnants of what's to come, possibly what might come out of Invest 91L. So let's zoom into the regions right now, kind of give you an overall look for the U.S. today on your Sunday, September the 5th. And there's that cold front. Right now, it's approaching Dallas. I'm looking out my window. I live in Dallas myself. It's pretty clear, but there are a little bit of storms to the north, and it's going to be isolated, sporadic kind of activity. And it's not going to be amount to too much rain, but it is going to bring some much needed rain showers. It's been fairly dry in the regions. But this setup down here by the coast, that's that low level, that's that stationary front, which is indicative of that boundary, like I mentioned, between the red and the blue here. That's a stationary front. Whenever you get a stationary front in the Gulf, they do tend to spin up a kind of a little low level swirl, this especially this time of year. And as you have this other vorticity that's coming due north, that's when I think all those are going to be combined in and going to be able to spin up closer to the coast, another tropical entity as we go into that Wednesday time frame, and then should be impacting Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday coming up this week. So for today, we just looking at, for like say isolated scattered activity. Been pretty dry out here for much of the west here, and that continues much into a Monday. This is your Labor Day. It's pretty not much going on technically. I mean, it's Labor Day. You want to spend a lot of time out with the friends and family and barbecue and just kind of relaxing and taking the day off and enjoying just the nicer weather out there. So because pretty much for predominantly a good chunk of the country, it's going to be pretty nice. There's not going to be any severe weather around. There's not going to be like any tropical systems like making impacts. So it's kind of the calm before the storm a little bit for say coming up on Monday. But that cool front is will start to die out and almost kind of fizzle out as we go into that Monday afternoon, as this will try to continue pushing further south. But it is September, 1st of September. It's still technically summer, goes until September 22nd, even though we technically are entering, meteorologically fall right now. It still can get warm and be warm for this time of year, and into the first week or two of September. And as we go into that Tuesday time frame, yeah, you can see the cooler air trying to continue push a little bit further south. But it's not, like I said, there's not much cooler air behind this front because it's already trying to modify. We do have just very isolated. I mean, you desperately need the rain out here. I mean, we're talking just very isolated. So if it rains a drop at your house, be lucky. But that's about as good as it's going to get for the Pacific Northwest this week, as we got another ridge going to be starting to build in on the backside, and we're going to be starting to heat up as this will push from west to east throughout the week. But out ahead of it, there's the setup of this trough that's going to be setting up, and that's going to be the steering current of what's actually going to be helping push Larry out to sea. But it's also going to be the setup for possibly a severe weather threat that's going to line up along the coast, along the East Coast, and that'll be coming up on the day on Wednesday. So let's take a look at that. So here's the setup. There's the trough. This is Wednesday, September the 8th. So you can definitely see underneath. This is Larry, way out here out to sea. There's Bermuda, and they'll be getting dangerously close to Bermuda. But as this trough will start to push further southeast, that's going to help steer Larry safely out to sea. But that's also going to set the stage for that severe threat as we look for possibly Mindy trying to develop off the Louisiana coast, Mississippi, Alabama, getting into the Florida Panhandle, as we could have a kind of a little low level swirl trying to get its act together. As this out at the west here, that's the ridge, is going to be starting to build and going to be starting to dominate for much, as especially as we go through midweek and start getting into the later half of the week to come, of the much higher, warmer temperatures for much of the U.S. Going forward as we move into the second half of next, later this week. So here's the setup for Wednesday. This is what they call the Cape value, your convective available potential energy in the atmosphere. So yeah, we do have some energy with that Invest 91L around Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, into Florida, and into Georgia, the Carolinas, all up the East Coast. And as it intermingles with that trough, it's going to be able to set the stage for a round of severe thunderstorms. So I know everybody's got their eye on Larry, but I got my eye on the severe weather threat that's going to be coming up possibly on Wednesday. And that's what we're gonna have to be concerned about. Here's the setup for Larry. It's got all the models pretty much saying verbatim it's going to be, right around Bermuda, and then to safely lift off the sea. There's the setup for 91L. Again, most members have kind of a minimal hurricane, minimal tropical storm trying to develop. Most of these 1004, 1008, 1011, that is like minimal tropical storm criteria. But the rain, this area does not need any rain, and unfortunately, there's going to be getting more rain on top of what was left with Ida. But we also have a lot of members down here still in the Caribbean, kind of still coming together here, and that could set the stage for what might be to come the following week, going back into the Gulf of Mexico, and I'll go over that here in a little bit as well. So here's the precipitable water index for Wednesday. So I do feel that a system will be coming out of the Gulf, starting to spread more precipitation back into Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, places they really just don't desperately need any more rain. And they're going to be getting that with what 94L has to offer. There's Larry safely offshore as we have that instability coming along the East Coast. This brown here, that's indicative of just that drier air. That's the ridge underneath that I showed you. Again, that's going to be dry, and that's going to be pushing further as we get throughout the week. Here's the setup for Thursday. That ridge will start to build and expand and push a little bit further off into the east, as the only game in town will be along the coastal regions into what's to come with possible Invest 91L. And as we go into beyond that, we start to make that transition. We've been talking about a La Nina or a El Nino type setup. I've done actually multiple videos on this, and we're literally like right on the cusp of developing a La Nina. And what you typically get in that atmosphere, we've been in an enso neutral. So right now we've been predominantly in the middle, right? We've had about the same Pacific storms. We have about the same, Atlantic storm. So as we transition into maybe a La Nina type pattern that we went into this time last year, that's why September and October had really ramped up, and we're literally right on the cusp of being classified of yet another La Nina. And what typically happens in that environment is you got a lot of cooler waters in the equatorial Pacific. You've got much fewer hurricanes out here in the Pacific, so that area starts to die down. You have much more stronger wind shear, and then on the Atlantic side, it's just completely the opposite, right? You got less wind shear, you got more volatility and more activity that could be spinning up, especially as a ridge will start to develop over the United States. And that's the setup with the La Nina's getting its act together and the ridge going to be dominating for much of the US. That's the setup for, again, pushing storms closer into the United States and having more opportunities for possible US impacts, especially as we go deeper into September. But there's the El Nino setup, which is completely the opposite of what we're in now. We would typically have warmer waters in the equatorial Pacific. We would have, again, less shear out in the Pacific, but more hurricanes. And then the opposite in the Atlantic side, you'd have fewer hurricanes and stronger wind shear on El Nino years. So we are not in an El Nino year. We're going into a La Nina type pattern as we go into fall, and especially this will just deepen as we go into the winter months, exactly like we did last year. So here's the setup for Friday. So there's the ridge. We got the trough that's going to be coming up, that's going to be steering Hurricane Larry. It's still going to be a hurricane even by Friday, well out to sea, as this ridge will start to dominate, as this ridge will start to build in. When you get a ridge over the top, that typically starts to lower the pressures underneath meaning Gulf of Mexico, the Caribbean, with the divergence and pressure. And typically that environment, especially with the La Nina's trying to develop and you have less shear in the atmosphere, that's when you have more opportunities for more tropical development. And with this setup would actually help eventually steer these other systems closer into the US again. So as we go into that Sunday timeframe, this ridge really starts to dominate. But look where most of the most anomaly areas is well to the north. It's not really down to the south. So that weakens the wedge somewhat underneath. And I showed you those, and I showed you the instability down here in the Caribbean with a lot of the models and a lot of the ensemble member guidance. As this ridge will start to fade, or as the ridge will start to weaken down here in the south again, this would be next Sunday, we could set the stage again for another possible system coming in underneath. But we got a lot of heat to deal with as far as like above average temperatures as this will continue building out west, and this would shift. So we do have the mini cold front coming in right now, right? We have cooler air to start the first half of the week, but we got the ridge going to be building in from the west, and this will slowly shift further east as we go throughout the week. But as that does that, that will help amplify the ridge over to the top, lower the pressures underneath, and again set the stage for possibly another in close development going in towards the United States as we go into the following week. And that's what a lot of the model guidance is implying now. Yet we could have another maybe tropical storm system coming in by the time that 13th time frame. Of course, this is a long ways off. That's only 8 days though. But the setup coming to play over the top with the ridge that's after Larry and Invest 91L, we could yet have another system in the Gulf by the time we get to the following Monday. So that is definitely something to be concerned about as well. But between now and then, it's pretty high and dry for a good chunk of the country, especially out west where the ridge will start to build and dominate. And as this shifts, it shuts down any type of rainfall you're going to get in that environment. The main systems out ahead will be well east. We got that set up possibly for that severe weather threat on Wednesday. There's the track with Larry safely offshore, and there's the track from what may be to come from Invest 95L. So any type of rainfall you get in this environment, the models aren't quite picking up on the rainfall intensity as of yet because it hasn't developed, say, a low-level center. So it's, again, it's going to be another one of those storms. It's probably going to develop right along the coast or near the coast, and it'll be possibly intensifying as we go. But I'm not expecting anything big to come out of this system, anything like that. Mainly, it's going to be a heavy rainmaker, possibly out of the same areas that do not need the rainfall in any shape, way, or form. So, hey, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video. Definitely leave your comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel to catch the latest update. Fire protect you before and after the storm.